Hello there everyone, it's Carol from the Crafty Emporium. Elbow bump. Right, we're going to get down to decorating these envelopes. Now, I've sorted them into a semblance of order. It might change, you never know. And sometimes it just takes a little while for you to get an idea of how you want this to look. And it's taken me a day or two to kind of think it through. And then this morning, I had an epiphany. I know, big word. And I thought about using my my Graphic 45 steampunk debutante papers, and I've got the chipboards as well to go with it, because most of the envelopes that I'm using are sort of neutrals, creams, beiges, greens, and these are going to go really well with this, and as well as putting one of these on the cover. So, I've got a plan. The other thing that I want to use today is this paper that someone kindly gifted me, and it's a vellum sheet of paper from K & Company, and it's got text all on it. So I want to use that as well. And then I'm also going to, on this first envelope, I'm going to use my Spellbinder Distressed Edges die, which is, let me get the wrapping out, which is this one. Ooh, little die hiding, which is that one. Okay, so number S5174. So that's what I'm going to be using, because with it being the deckled edge, it means that I'm not getting a, I didn't want a straight square or a straight rectangle cutting out. I wanted something a little bit more organic. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use possibly this one on the front here and cut out. Oh, I might use the bigger one. We'll see. I'll have a plan of what I want to arrange on here. Yeah, I might use the big one to form a window, and then I'm going to put this behind that window and then sort of stitch around it and then add some decorative elements then on top, which is one of the reasons why I didn't glue this envelope down, because I know that I need to put this through the die cutting machine. Just wanted to show you how I actually set this up. So basically I put the die on top, put some washi tape on top of that, and then I put a scrap piece of card on top of there, and then folded those flaps in on top, and then run it through the die cutting machine, so that I ended up with this. And then I want to use some of this to sit underneath it. So I just want to roughly measure how much I'm going to need, and then I can chop around that. Then with my little Stampin' Up snail adhesive, I am going to put some, let's put some glue around there because it's a straight edge. And then that can sit on there. Now I'm also going to add, this is the top flap up here, so it means that if I put anything inside of the envelope, it might have a tendency to catch on that edge of the paper. So I'm just going to put a piece of micropore across this top edge here to just soften that edge up, so that nothing should catch when I put something inside of the envelope. Okay, so that's what it'll look like. And now I'm going to go and just sew around here with some black thread, and go around it a couple of times, so I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Now at this stage I don't want to over gild the lily, But I'm going to use my Ranger Archival Ink Sepia because this is quite a shiny card, and I've got a little stamp of text that I don't know where I got it from. I think it was maybe a freebie off a magazine, but it's just texty looking stamp, and I just want to do a tiny bit, and then I'm going to have to leave it to dry just a touch, because it will still take a while for this ink to dry off. I might do just a tad more at the top. And I shall leave that like that. And then this is one of the chipboard pieces from out of the kit that they put together. So I was thinking of putting that there, and then I fussy cut one of the ladies out, and I've just inked up around the edges, and I was thinking of putting her here. Now I need to be careful not to put anything too close to this edge here, because this is what's going to stick to the spine, and I think that I will leave it at that for the time being, decorate the rest of the envelopes up, and then I can always come back and add some more things. So I was thinking of maybe adding some flowers around this corner up here. So I'm going to stick her on. So Tombow glue there, put it away. So she is going to overlap everything, and then this I'm going to stick on, but I'm also going to add some brads to it. I've got some big black brads. Whilst I've got the envelope open and not stuck down, I'm going to add some brads onto it. And then in this pot, now as I say, I can add more to it later, so I could add some lace and stuff, but I think that I'd prefer to do that once I've got all the envelopes in place, and then I can see any of the extra bits that I feel want to be added. So I'm going to poke a hole through there, minding not to poke my fingers, of course. And then I can open up these prongs on the back. And again, I'm going to put some of my microport over these, so that again nothing catches on the prongs there. So I'm quite happy with that, and as I say, I can always decorate it up further later on. So I'm going to make it up into its envelope. So 2 short sides in, put some glue on that flap there and on there, and put that up, and I'm going to do a magnetic closure on it. So I've got one of the buttons from the chipboard pieces, and I want to stitch some thread through it so it's like a faux stitched button. Then on the back I'm going to put a magnet. Glossy accents. Tiny bit of micropore to just help to hold it in place whilst that glue takes off. And then I'm going to want it about there. So I want the magnet underneath at about this point here. But I need to make sure that it's the right way round. Because of the north, north, south, south. Okay, so I just want to mark a little dot on it. So that's the side that I want attaching. Let me just figure this out, hang on. So it's going to go that way. That's it. And then a bit of glue on there. I think I said about there, didn't I? So just attach that on the inside. And then this will sit there. And then that will help to keep that closed. And then this will sit in the journal. And I'll show you that glued into the journal in a little bit. I just want glue and ink to just dry off a little before I glue it in. See you in a minute when I show you the next envelope. I decided with this next envelope that I was going to put some form of little booklet on the front, and so what I did was I chose this image and I glued it onto this piece of craft card and then folded the craft card in half. Now I had a piece of card that was extending beyond this edge here, so I folded it in to make a little pocket, and I added a little piece of the punched paper on the edge here. I also then went round and I stitched this image in place, and then I stitched around the whole piece of card so that that now holds this pocket in place. And I've inserted some little mini envelopes, which again I was also gifted, so I can put some more memory pieces of correspondence within those envelopes as well. Now the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a pocket on this side. And so what I did was I cut out a rectangle, punched a hole at the top, and then I scored down each side and across the bottom. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to cut and taper each of those sides like so, and also at the top and ink them up. And then what I can do then is place glue on the back, down the long sides first. And I don't want to put too much glue on because I don't want it oozing out into the pocket area. And then place the short bottom edge on top of those two long ones, and then put glue on top of that. can sit in there. And again, once I've sorted out exactly what I'm going to put in, I can then add any extra decoration that I want. But I am going to add a bit more of this punched border on the bottom to tie it all together, so that it ties in now with this side. So at the moment I'm just doing the basics of decorating, and as I say, I can always add more at a slightly later stage. Okay. Now the other thing that I've done is I've got this seam binding which I've already dyed up, and I want it stuck across the back. Okay, 2 pieces of that, because I'm going to have a double bow on it. And I'm going to glue these on the back. Okay, so I'm going to put some glue across there. And then just making sure I've got them equal. And a bit more for the second layer. Stuck. Okay, and then add a piece of wider micropore over the top. Because I want to attach it so that it makes it also into a pocket, and then I can put a nice big tag behind it. So here's my envelope. Make sure I've got it the right way around. Yes, that will sit on there. Now again, I want it further over this way because of that hinge that's going to attach to the bottom of the envelope here, and I'm going to glue on the back around the 3 sides here so I can put a tag in at the top. So I glue down there. And then that can sit on there. And then I can tie these. And to be careful at the minute because that glue hasn't set off yet. To keep that shut so that what's inside is not likely to fall out. So that will sit there like that. The other thing that I thought about doing was on this particular image there's like these lamps here, so I was thinking that I was going to add on some glossy accents so it kind of gives the illusion of it being a light, and then I can make this envelope up in the same way as I've done the other, and then I'll be able to glue that one into my journal as well. So that's the second one ready. On the third hinge, I want to use 2 glassine envelopes, and I'm going to run them through my embossing folder. And if I show you, it doesn't fit in fully widthways, but I'm fine with that because this edge here is what's going to be stuck to the hinge within the journal, so I'm okay with that. So I'm going to go off and go and emboss these 2 envelopes, and then I'll come back and show you what I'm going to do with them. See you in a minute. I've embossed my 2 envelopes now, as you can see. And you do need to be really careful with vellum, because embossing them can actually crack the vellum, so you do need to be really careful. And I used a rubber mat to put through at the same time as embossing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use some vintage photo, and I'm just going to go over the top of the embossing so that the embossed areas are picked up and will be slightly more defined. Ugh, getting it on my fingers. Tap that little bit off. So you can now see what it looks like when you've actually run the ink over it. So I'm just going to clear my decks a little, finish inking this one up, and then I'll put them in the journal and you can see what they look like. See you in a minute. She says, rubbing her hands free of ink. I'm going to now add my pages to my journal, or the 3 that I've done anyway. So on this first one, I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to place some glue on the back of this hinge. I want to make sure that I've got enough on, and then intermittently throughout that little decorative area, because I want to make sure that it's going to attach to the envelope well enough that the envelope then won't fall out at any point. I'm just spreading this glue about a bit, and I don't want to go beyond that crease that we scored on it, and then I can sit my envelope in there and then fold that over, and I've got it at about the right height, so happy with that. And that's my first one in position. Okay, second one. Now I have the choice, just before I glue it in, tangled up, of gluing this on this side of that hinge or on that side of the hinge, and I'm going to glue it on this side because I want that decorative edge on there. So again, I'm just going to bend it over, place glue on, and again insert the envelope, and that will flip over. And then these 2 embossed envelopes, I just want to check the positioning of them first, because I know it was a tight fit, and I'm going to have a little bit of overhang at the bottom and at the top, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's a real tight fit. Okay, let's put this one in first. Let's glue this one in first. Okay, so it's going right the way down to the bottom. I'm going to add the second one. So the second one's going to be glued in up here. But the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to snip through this hinge system so that they will fold over independently from each other. Okay, so I'm going to cut down there. And then I can flip that bit over. And then, as I say, these two will then independently flip over. You can see one and then two. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Okay, so here's my journal. Open it up. There's my first page. There's my second, third and fourth. Okay, I think I already know how I'm going to decorate these, but as I say, I'll wait until I get to the rest of the pages in to just make sure that it all gels together. And I'm going to put a closure on this one as well, so I'll put a circular closure on there for that to tuck behind. But yeah, that's a good start. Pleased with that so far. And then I was thinking that I'd got this trim again that I was gifted, and I thought I might put that on the back with a little dangly doodad on the back to lift the flap of the envelope up. But I'll hold my horses and I'll wait. So in the next video I'll show you some more of the envelopes and how I'm going to decorate them. Thanks for joining me so far, and I hope that this is inspiring you a little bit to maybe have a go at making your own. See you in the next video. Bye for now.